Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode, we're going to be talking about the 2018 NFL Draft Class, specifically wide receiver Christian Kirk out of Texas A&M. We're going to give a general analytics profile on him, so we're going to look at his production data, his athleticism data, and then I'm going to give a player in particular that he looks most like from a data perspective. Just give you some sort of insights there. If you're new to the channel and you're new to the work that I do, all terms and definitions will be in the description. So again, if you're not familiar with what market share data is or what athleticism data is when it comes to explosive lower body strength score, speed score, or flexibility score, all those terms will be in the description. So starting with Christian Kirk's overall data, he had a 71.62 out of 100 passing yardage market share production score out of every single wide receiver performance since the 1969 NFL Draft Class. He doesn't quite hit the 5-time All-Pro or 3-time All-Pro area of production, but he does hit at least the 3-time Pro Bowl area of production. Again, this is pretty much the bottom end threshold. The vast majority of Pro Bowl wide receivers were at least 68 or higher in terms of their overall market share production data. So Christian Kirk at least has a shot as a Pro Bowl wide receiver from a overall upside perspective. And then, of course, when you look at his averages at the position, or at least the average All-Pro score, the average Pro Bowl score, and the average starter score, this kind of puts into perspective that, again, Christian Kirk is closer to outlier status to a certain extent, at least in terms of being a Pro Bowl player, but definitely isn't so far off that it's out of the realm of possibility. But it is important to note that, again, most All-Pro wide receivers and Pro Bowl wide receivers typically have much higher production than 71.62 out of 100. So you just have to keep that in mind when you're talking about projecting a wide receiver like him. He did face relatively tougher competition than most. He played in the SEC, but you do have to take this into account when you're talking about projecting him. And when it comes to his athleticism data, he had a 35.52 explosive lower body strength score, 57.61 speed score, and 24.56 flexibility score. Based on my data since the 1999 NFL Draft Class, 100%, or at least the vast majority of All-Pro/Pro Bowl wide receivers had at least one 54 or higher athleticism trait. The only wide receivers to not have above a 54 athleticism trait since 1999 was Chad Johnson and Jarvis Landry. Every other All-Pro/Pro Bowl wide receiver during that time span had at least a 54 or higher score. And when it comes to Christian Kirk, his speed score is above the 54 threshold. But overall, not the best athlete. I mean, again, below average in terms of his explosiveness and below average in terms of his flexibility for his size, but does have an above average speed score, which is the only thing that really saves him. So again, from a production standpoint, he hit at least the 3-time Pro Bowl area, but definitely would be sort of a low-end potential Pro Bowler. And then, of course, when you look at his athleticism data, would also be kind of a low-end potential athleticism guy as well, based on his overall data. When it comes to actual comparisons, his athleticism scores look very similar to a guy like Stefon Diggs. And again, I'm really just pointing this out as skill set. Like, this is what Christian Kirk's skill set best projects to. But of course, Stefon Diggs was a much better athlete all around, had a higher explosive lower body strength score, had a higher speed score, and had a higher flexibility score. And on top of that, when you look at his passing yardage market share production, Stefon Diggs had a much higher score in that category as well. So I think in many ways, if you're talking about projecting Christian Kirk, he looks like a poor man's Stefon Diggs. I think, again, from an athleticism standpoint, he's not quite as athletic, but has a similar skill set to him. From a production standpoint, he definitely has solid production, above average production, but doesn't quite have the production of a Stefon Diggs. And I think overall, when you look at Christian Kirk, that's the kind of career that you're kind of looking at. Someone who it could be a Stefon Diggs-esque type wide receiver from a skill set perspective, but not necessarily someone who's guaranteed to become a multiple All-Pro/multiple Pro Bowl player. I think long-term starter would be the sort of happy point. Like, that would be the most likely case when it comes to Christian Kirk, with Pro Bowler being like the ultimate upside. But in general, I think he's just in that sort of area when it comes to his overall data. And of course, you can find my other work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Gymmetrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know. Hit that notification button so that you're always reminded when another video of mine drops. and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.